So hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well and having a fantastic day. So again, I am here with you with another video market update. So let's start. In front of us, as we can see, we have the BTC USDT in the 4-hour article. And previously, as we have discussed about this channel which was forming, and every time we have seen a BTC around the upper trend line zone, we have seen rejection. First rejection we have seen was around the $1,26,000 zone to $1,25,500. Second rejection which we have seen was around the $96,000 zone to $97,000. Again, in my previous video update, I have told you about the region of $96,000 to $97,000 zone, which will be act as the resistance zone, and we can simply see a download from this zone. And exactly, we have seen a move of around 12% from this zone. And I have mentioned that this zone will be act as a breakout zone, and most will think that we are going higher from this zone, and most likely we were going to see a sell from this zone. And if we need and if we are getting bullish, what we need to see is that BTC have to reclaim the $85,000 to $86,000 zone, and then after the retest around the $80,000 zone, we can again move toward the 100k level zone. So this was the previous BTC update we have shared, and BTC is exactly moving as we have planned. So let me move toward another chart. On a recent update on a lower time frame, I have told you that currently BTC is in a rising wedge pattern, and we could see a sell from the $72,500 zone to $73,000 zone. But we have seen a rejection from its previous high, which was around the 71,800, and it almost goes up toward the 72,000, and we have seen a drop of almost 4% from this zone. So as we previously have discussed this, we have a support around the $65,500 zone to $64,900 zone, which will act as a support zone for after we get a rejection from this zone. Nothing changed for BTC. As we have previously discussed, the lower support zone, which will be our buy zone for BTC, which will be around the $48,000 zone to $44,000 for the zone, which will be act as a reversal zone if we see a good V-shaped recovery from this zone. First we see a drop from this at this zone, then we have to see a sudden bounce and reclaim of the $57,000 zone to $55,000 zone. Then we can again see it moving toward the higher zone in the lower time frame. So this was the BTC quick update, and nothing has changed from our previous video, and till we are in the channel, every time we are going to see at the upper resistance zone, either it is from the $78,000 zone, either it is $75,000 zone. Whenever we going to see at this level, we are going to sell, and around the lower level, which will be our golden buy levels at the lower support zone, we will simply going to buy. So let's move toward the Ethereum USDT. So members, in front of us we have the ETH USDT in the daily time frame, and previously when it was trading around the $2,350 zone to $2,300 zone, I have told you that this region is the sell region for the ETH USDT, and a down move, most probably we are going to see a down moves from this zone at the exact level of the $2,380 zone, we have seen a rejection of around 15% from this zone. So we have a one confirmation that this pattern and the upper trend line is giving very good resistance, and every time Ethereum reaches in this zone, we have seen a pretty good sell. And around the lower support zone, whenever we see at the lower support trend line, we have seen a pretty good move toward the upper zone. So the next level which will be in for us will be around once we lose this level. Let me move toward the lower time frame so it will be easy for us to understand. So this level which will be around the $1,900 zone to $1,950 zone, once we lose this range and it start trading around the $1,850 zone, we can see a sharp drop toward the lower support zone around the $1,400 zone to $1,350 zone, which will be act as the support zone where we can put our buy orders. So let's again move toward the higher time frame. So till we are trading in this zone, which will be from the upper trend line and the lower trend line, support and resistance zone, we were simply going to sell at this zone and buy at this zone. So the level which can be a reverse zone, which will be around the $1,400 zone to $1,200 zone for the ETH/USDT. So what we need to see is a sharp drop toward this zone and a reclaim of the 2,000 plus zone, which will be around $2,100 zone, $2,100 zone. After a retest, we can again move toward the higher levels in the coming days. So I think the current picture is clear, and again nothing is changed from our previous update. We are seeing what we have discussed in the previous update. So let's move toward the Sol USDT and let's see what Sol is going to. If you have remember, when it was trading around the, and we have discussed this in the previous update, and I have told you, once we hold the lower support zone at the $82 zone to $81 zone, we can easily see a move toward the upper zone, which will be around the $96 to $95 zone. So, and at this region, I have told you that we are going to see a sell from this zone, which will be around the $96 zone to $97 zone, and we have put it our sell orders at this zone, and it delivered us a very good sell of around 12%. Now, what we are going to see is that currently this level is about to break down, which was the lower support trend line. So if we are going to lose this zone, which will be the $84 zone, then we are going to see a sharp drop toward the lower support zone for the Sol USDT, and the first level of interest that will be unlocked for us will be around this zone, which was the previous order block zone, around the $76 zone, and also we have a Fibonacci level 0.786 at this zone, and we can see a bounce from this zone, and we must have to so we must have to look at the zone which will be from the lower support zone. If we again reclaim this zone of the our trendline zone, then we have probability that we are again going to see it toward the upper trendline zone at the $98 zone to $99 zone. And again, if I'm going to see at the $98 zone to $97 zone, simply I'm going to sell at the zone till we are not going to break this zone and having a good candle above the $100 zone. Then we have a simple move, and this move is the lower time frame, lower move. So if we talk about Sol USDT to buy for the long-term purpose, so I will move toward the so around this level from the $44 zone to $50 zone will be a zone which I will consider as a good zone to buy it for the long-term purpose. And if I see it around the $44 zone to $50 zone range, I will start accumulation for the long term, and I will buy it till the, if it goes below to the $35 zone to $30 zone, I will definitely accumulate it for the long term purpose for the midterm and long term for Sol USDT. So let's move toward the USDT.D. So as previously I have told you in my post update that the most important thing we have to watch is the USDT dominance, and what we have to see is either we are getting a rejection from this zone to this zone, or either we are getting a pullback from this zone. So currently, as you can see, previously this zone has given us, upper trendline zone has given us a very good respect toward the sells. Every time we have seen at this zone, we have seen a pretty good sell zone, and every time the lower support zone was tested, it gave us a bounce from this zone, from this zone, and from this zone, and from this zone. So currently what we are having is that currently the level which given us a bounce, which was the around the 7.65% zone, and currently it's moving toward its resistance zone, which will be around the 7.9 zone, reclaiming the above resistance at the 8.2 to 8.25 will be considered as a breakout. And once we see a breakout from this level, then simply a retest toward the 79, and it's going to move toward the our max pain zone, which will be around the 10% to 12% dominance for USDT chart. So till we are in this pattern, which is the bullish pattern for the USDT and bearish for the altcoins, we have to simply monitor the levels. If we have getting a rejection from this zone, then simply we are going to buy our altcoins at this level with a proper stop loss to move toward the lower zone till it reaches its lower zone around the 7%. And again from this level we can again sell our altcoins and sit in the USDT and right toward the upper zone. So this was the USDT dominance update. Let's move toward the total crypto cap. And let's see what total crypto cap is telling us. So as we can see here, total crypto cap previously get a rejection from this zone, and still it's trading in the bear flag pattern, and that once we get a closing, daily closing below this level, which will be around the $1,900 zone, $1,900 zone to $1,944 zone, then the first level of interest that will be unlocked will be around this zone at the 890 billion dollar zone. And once upon losing this zone, the second entry level, which will be around at the 840 billion zone. So this is a very big cap for all cryptos, so it will be moved in levels. It will not going to drop directly toward this zone. It will move levels, retest the upper levels, and then move toward the lower zone. For me to buying my altcoins for long term will be around this level, and I have previously discussed this level, which was the 666 billion dollar to $500 billion zone. This zone will be a zone where I will be looking to buy altcoins for the long term if we are going to see it down toward this level. So first level which I will be putting my orders for long term will be around $660 billion zone, and second order will be around the $500 billion zone to buy altcoins for the long term. That can easily send any altcoins to 50% to 100% to 200% in a couple of months or couple of, and most coin will be pumped around the couple of weeks, which will be big cap market. So let's move toward the gold USDT. So in front of us, we have the gold USDT in the 30 minute time frame. And previously in my post update, I have told you about that gold is currently trading in the rising wedge pattern, and we have a resistance zone around the $4,600 zone to $466 zone, and that until we are holding the lower support and resistance zone, we can buy and sell at this zone. So the last drop which was seen, which was around the $4,598 with around this zone, we have seen a sell of almost 5% to 4.5% from this region. So currently what we are going to see, if we break out from this zone, which will be this level, then simply we can see a retest toward this zone before we see a drop from this level. So I will not going to buy or sell at this zone, neither I am going to place my order at this zone. I will only buy and sell at this level, which will be around the $4,600 zone to $4,666 zone, which was the previous sell zone, and this will be act as the resistance zone. So once I will see at this region, I will definitely going to sell from this zone. Yes, we can see a sell from this zone, which was the $444 zone, because currently we have unemployment data and it's a slightly bearish for the US gold and for the silver. In previous update for our gold, I have mentioned that yes, in previous update I have told you from this zone that currently that gold USDT is forming a falling wedge pattern, and we have a support and resistance zone around the upper trend line and lower trend line zone. Until we are holding the lower support zone from this zone, we have a pretty good chance that we can see a bounce from this zone toward the upper zone. But we have seen a sell from the $542 zone because we have a conflict around the geopolitical war situation between the two countries, and because of that we have seen a sell from this zone. In my post update, when it was trading around this level, I have mentioned that we have a support zone at the $4,850 zone to $4,800 zone. And upon the $4,835 zone, we have seen a move toward the 1.36, 1.35 to 1.5% pump from this zone. And I have mentioned that if we lose the support, which was the $4,780 zone, we are simply going to see it down toward the $4,500 zone. And exactly from our mentioned zone of $4,500 zone, we have seen a move toward the upper zone, which was around the $4,730 zone of around a 5% pump we have seen. So what are we going to see on BTC? Sorry, on gold. So until we have the war situation between the two countries, so till the war is going and no ceasefire is in the market, we are going to see it below the lower levels. And the first level I have told you about, which was the around the $3,800 zone to $3,900 zone, which will be I will be looking for a short-term buy. And the third level and the second level, sorry, which will be around the $3,200 zone, and this level will be act as a reversal zone for gold USDT. And that once I will personally going to see it around the $3,200 zone to $3,000 zone, I will definitely going to buy it from this zone with a stop loss below the $2,900 zone, $2,950 zone, to right toward the higher zone for a potential upward movement of around the 50% move to 100% move, which will be around a $1,600 zone move from the $3,200 zone to $3,300 zone. And upon retest, we can again see it toward the higher levels. So this was the gold update, and move toward the silver USDT. So members, here we have the silver USDT in the 30-minute time frame. And previously in my post update, I have told you that currently the silver USDT is in the rising wedge pattern, and we are going to see a sell from the upper trend line zone, and we have seen a pretty good sell of around a 10% from this level, and currently is trading around the 68.3 dollar zone. So previously on our video market update, I have told you about the levels which was the which was the these $83 zone and the lower support zone at the $72, $73 zone to $74 zone. And I have mentioned that at the $73 zone to $74 zone, I will put my buy orders and ride toward the upper zone. And until we are holding the $72 zone, we don't have to worry. And that once we are going to see any candle close below the $72 zone, this will be act as a breakdown, and much lower zone will be unlocked, and exactly we have seen the movement. Once we have breakdown from the lower zone, we have seen our breakdown toward the $61 zone, and at this zone I have also mentioned that around the $59 zone to $58 zone will be act as a support zone, as we have a liquidity sitting at this zone which was the $61 zone, and it exactly dropped at the $61 zone for gold and didn't get the perfect entry from the $58 to $59 zone. So still we are holding this zone, which will be around the $58 zone. We have a chance that we can go toward the upper zone at the $60 zone to $69 zone. Once we lose this zone, then our next support zone will be unlocked at this zone, which will be around the $49 zone. And upon this level, if we let me move toward yes. So this will be our first level of interest around the $49 zone to $48 zone, as we have holding here the previous order block zone and the FPG gap around this zone. So at the $49 zone to $50 zone, we have pretty good chance that we have seen a sharp drop toward this zone and a V-shaped recovery at this zone. Then we have a pretty good move around a 50% to 60% move from this level. So simply we are going to put our buy orders. I will put my buy orders at the $48 zone to $46 zone with a tight edge stop loss around the $45 to $44 zone to ride it toward the upper zone. And if this support zone, which was the $48 zone to $46 zone, could not hold, then we are simply going to wait for the lower support zone, which will be formed between the $35 zone to $28 zone, which was the previous bullish movement that delivered a new all-time high for silver USDT around almost around 300% from this zone. So as I have mentioned for gold, $3,200 zone, $3,300 zone will be a good buy zone for gold, and that can deliver us a 50% to 100% move. Simply the region which will be around the $35 zone to $28 zone will be a good region to buy for mid-term, for long-term, to ride it toward the higher zones for a potential 100% to 200% from for the silver USDT. So this was the update, and I hope you like the update. So thank you for sticking at the end, and stay blessed.